On March 9th, Iran struck Camp Arafat, a major American military logistics base in Kuwait that has been operational since 2003, and the scale of what happened deserves more analytical attention than it has received. 11 high-value targets were destroyed in a single coordinated operation: fuel storage tanks, the American helicopter ramp, the command building, logistics centers, core base infrastructure. A massive fire erupted with black smoke visible for miles beyond the perimeter. Eyewitness accounts and intelligence sources reported a panic evacuation from the base in the immediate aftermath. The operation combined cruise missiles and drones in a sequenced assault. Drones entered first to soften defenses, cruise missiles followed to strike fixed targets. Then the ballistic component hit the helicopter maintenance facilities, fuel depots, and command structure with precision that the IRGC described as producing significant destruction. This was not a random discharge. It was a three-layer operation designed to overwhelm defenses in sequence and maximize structural damage before any defensive response could fully organize. The IRGC confirmed it deployed the K-Bark and 4, also designated the Qadr alongside the other systems. And the timing was not accidental. These strikes were launched within hours of the announcement that Mujaba Kame had been designated as Iran's new supreme leader, replacing the father that the United States and Israel killed on February 28th. If you want coverage that connects the weapons, the succession, and the strategic logic driving all of it, subscribe to From Report right now and turn on notifications to understand why the KBA 4 matters beyond its role in this single strike. The specifications require examination because this is not simply another weapon in Iran's rotation. Iran introduced the K-Bark 4 in May 2023. It is a single-stage liquid-fueled medium-range ballistic missile with a range of approximately 2,000 kilometers. That range covers every American installation from Bahrain to Qatar to the UAE, the entirety of Israel, and portions of southeastern Europe, including NATO infrastructure. But range is not the defining characteristic. The warhead carries a payload capacity that Iranian state media has described as a 2-to-1 conventional warhead, the heaviest conventional warhead in Iran's entire arsenal by a significant margin. Nothing else they deploy comes close. Beneath the surface, the system operates on a new liquid rocket engine and carries a separable maneuvering re-entry vehicle built specifically to adjust its trajectory during terminal descent. That means it can alter course on the way down to evade interceptors, including Patriot PAC-3 and THAAD. The guidance system combines inertial navigation with satellite correction, providing sufficient precision to strike point-specific targets, a fuel depot, a command building, a runway intersection, rather than simply a general area. Iranian officials have also stated they reduced the fueling preparation time compared to previous liquid fuel designs. That matters operationally because liquid-fueled missiles remain exposed on the launch platform during fueling. That window is their traditional vulnerability to preemptive strikes. A faster fueling sequence means a smaller window. The entire K-band family traces its engineering lineage to the North Korean Hwasong-10, also designated the Musudan. But Iranian engineers rebuilt it from the structure upward: reinforced frames, different tank configurations, updated guidance electronics. What began as a North Korean blueprint is now an Iranian weapon built with a specific purpose, carrying capabilities the original never had. Confirmation of the weapon's battlefield deployment came from a French television correspondent reporting from inside Iran, who confirmed that the K-Bark 4 struck American facilities in Qatar and Bahrain during the third wave of the operation designated True Promise 4, later renamed in reference to Hussein ibn Ali in Bahrain. The missile reportedly struck the primary fuel terminal supporting the U.S. Fifth Fleet, triggering a massive fire in Manama. In Tel Aviv, a separate K-Bark 4 reportedly caused serious damage to the Israeli Ministry of Defense complex. A third struck an American base in the UAE. All three appear to have reached their designated targets. The IRGC spokesperson stated publicly that Iran is prepared for a prolonged conflict and that its newest weapons have not yet been deployed at full scale. Sit with that for a moment. After 31 waves of attacks, after more than 500 ballistic missiles, after nearly 2,000 drones, the IRGC still describes this as the initial phase. Most outside observers have been operating on the assumption that Iran is depleting its stockpiles and running out of options. The internal picture is different. A senior IRGC official told the FAR news agency that the missiles used so far have been predominantly from the 2012 to 2014 production years. Iran has been deliberately holding back its modern arsenal. That is not desperation. That is rationing for a war they expect to last weeks, not days. The distinction between what has been used and what has been withheld is the most important strategic data point that official briefings are not communicating clearly. The succession in Thrawn is directly connected to every warhead currently in the air, and understanding that connection requires understanding who Mojtaba Kameh actually is. Shortly after midnight on March 8th, Tehran time, Iran's Assembly of Experts, the 88-member clerical body, announced Mojtaba Hussein Kameh as the third supreme leader of the Islamic Republic. He is 56 years old. He is the second son of the man the United States and Israel killed 10 days earlier. The process that brought him to power was not clean. The conditions of active war disrupted the normal succession procedure. Reuters reported that the assembly debated remote or written deliberation because an in-person plenary session was difficult to conduct under sustained bombardment. Iranian media reported that an auxiliary building of the assembly in K had been struck. The objections to his selection were substantive. He holds the rank of Hojat Islam, a mid-level clerical designation, not an Ayatollah. His father was also not an Ayatollah when he assumed power in 1989, and the law was changed to permit it. But naming the son creates a hereditary dynasty within a republic built on the overthrow of the Pahlavi monarchy in 1979. The entire ideological foundation of the Islamic Revolution was the rejection of dynastic governance. His father reportedly opposed the idea. WikiLeaks cables from the late 2000s referred to Mojtaba as the power behind the robes. The U.S. Treasury Department sanctioned him in 2019 during the first Trump term for representing the supreme leader in an official capacity despite never having been elected or formally appointed to any government position. He is widely believed to have driven the rise of Mahmoud Ahmad in 2005 and his disputed re-election in 2009, the re-election that triggered mass protests across Iran. During those protests, crowds chanted directly at him, "We wish you death, Mojtaba, so you never become the next leader." Most Iranians have never heard his voice. He has never given a public lecture, a sermon, or a political speech. His wife, the daughter of a former parliamentary speaker, was killed alongside one of his children in the February 28th strike that killed his father. What followed the succession announcement transformed it from a political event into a military one. Iranian state media published an image of a ballistic missile with handwritten text on its casing. The words read, "At your command, Mr. Mojtaba, the Bayat, a consecrated Shia oath of loyalty, was inscribed on a warhead." The IRGC converted an offensive weapon into a ritual pledge of allegiance to the new commander-in-chief. The 30th wave was launched alongside the succession announcement under the codename Ali Wali Allah, a direct reference to the divine appointment of Ali as successor to the Prophet at Ghadir. The 31st wave was renamed the Bayate, the first offensive operation under Mojtaba's direct command. The missiles and the succession were synchronized. That was choreography, not coincidence. Israel responded immediately. The defense minister had already stated on March 4th that whoever succeeded Kina would be treated as a legitimate assassination target. The Israeli Foreign Ministry published a photograph of Mojtaba and his father holding firearms with a caption translating roughly as like father, like son. The American president told ABC News that Mojtaba would need U.S. approval or would not last long and called him a lightweight. A senior Republican senator said it was only a matter of time before the son met the same fate as the father. Iran responded in layers. The foreign minister declared that no one would be permitted to interfere. The parliament speaker published that Iran's destiny would be decided by the Iranian nation and not, in a direct quote, by the Epstein gang. Then China drew its line. The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson declared on March 9th that Iran's leadership decision was constitutional and internal, that China opposed any interference, and that any attack on the new leader was unacceptable under any framework. The Chinese foreign minister told his Russian counterpart that assassinating a head of state during active negotiations was impermissible. Putin pledged unwavering support to Mojtaba Kameh. This has crystallized into a sharp diplomatic division. China and Russia have criticized the strikes and called for de-escalation, but neither has committed clearly to Iran as an active wartime partner. The United States and Israel have openly threatened the new Iranian leadership, while Beijing and Moscow have emphasized sovereignty and restraint. The two axes are not equivalent in their commitments, but the direction each is moving is no longer ambiguous. While the Gulf theater was absorbing these developments, a second front was opening to the north. Hezbollah resumed attacks against Israel on March 2nd, directly incorporating Lebanon into the war after months of relative containment. Hezbollah stated publicly that the attacks were retaliation for the killing of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. Israel responded with intensive airstrikes on southern Beirut suburbs, southern Lebanon, and the Be'er Valley. Israeli forces reported killing the identified head of Hezbollah's intelligence headquarters in one of those strikes. Lebanese authorities report that the death toll has risen sharply. Nearly 700,000 people have been displaced in Lebanon since the fighting resumed. 2 Israeli soldiers were killed in southern Lebanon as the combat expanded. Human Rights Watch has separately reported evidence of white phosphorus use over residential areas in a southern Lebanese village. This is no longer a contained border exchange. Lebanon has been drawn deeper into the war, and the cost is rising on both sides simultaneously. The strategic picture that emerges from assembling all of these elements is one that official briefings are structurally unable to communicate honestly. Iran has conducted 31 waves of attacks and describes itself as still in the initial phase. It has used predominantly decade-old infantry, while its modern arsenal remains largely in reserve. It has survived a decapitation strike, conducted a succession, synchronized that succession with a military offensive, opened a second front through Hezbollah, struck American bases across Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, the UAE, and threatened Israeli military infrastructure, all while maintaining the operational tempo that its own commanders describe as sustainable for the long term. Neither Washington nor Tehran has publicly stated what conditions would end this. No ceasefire framework, no confirmed back-channel pathway, no exit ramp that either side has acknowledged. The only thing both sides have made clear is that they have not finished. And every day that question remains unanswered, the next wave gets closer. The Khabar Shikan 4 that struck Camp Arifan was not Iran's most advanced weapon. The weapons Iran describes as not yet deployed at full scale are. That gap between what has been used and what is being held in reserve is the variable that no war game, no official briefing, and no market model has fully priced in. That is what From Report is here to track. Subscribe right now and turn on notifications. This conflict is developing across military, diplomatic, succession, and energy dimensions simultaneously. And the connections between those dimensions are where the analytical work that actually matters gets done. When the next wave launches, when the next diplomatic signal emerges, when the next weapon system is confirmed in combat, you need to be here for the analysis that reads the documents, connects the evidence, and tells you what it actually means. This is From Report.